Our first group of lessons in Unit 3 introduces both themes in our unit: how satellites work and what changes we can see on Earth using satellites. In both cases, we could look at this entire unit through the lens of the cross-cutting concept of energy and matter. When looking at satellites, we're essentially tracking the energy as it bounces off the Earth and into the sensor, into the digital electronics, and then back down to our computers. So at each stage, we can ask ourselves, where does the energy come from? And where does it go next? The flip side of energy and matter comes in our section about how satellites record our hunger for resources that impacts the planet. Here, we can track the matter by noting that all the resources we consume must be coming from somewhere. And after we use these things, where do we put the waste? The more we use, the more impact we have. The phenomenon or thing that's happening in the world that frames this section of lessons is that countries consume different amounts of resources. And we'll be looking at this in a moment. Lesson 1 begins with a pre-assessment to probe students' prior knowledge. Then we get a visit from Green Ninja, who introduces us to the challenge for the unit, to reduce our ecological footprint. We watch and discuss the Green Ninja video Anthropology Apology to emphasize that our ecological footprint makes a lasting impression. Then we start looking at satellite images of human impacts. We raise further questions like, what technologies are used to capture images of the Earth? What do these images show? And what do these images tell us about human activity? To get at this big picture question, how do our actions affect how Earth looks from space? In Lesson 2, we analyze the results of that pre-assessment, then continue analyzing the satellite images. We introduce the Earth from Space graphic organizer to keep us oriented throughout the unit. In Lesson 3.3, we introduce the phenomena for this group of lessons that some countries consume more resources than others. We express the resource use in terms of ecological footprint. What's that? Well, students will take a quiz to calculate their personal ecological footprint. And when they realize how many planet Earths it will take to maintain their lifestyle for everyone on the planet, they start to think about the things that they use. So for homework, they maintain a 24-hour log of food, goods, and energy that they consume. In 3.4, we review students' resource logs. We continue working on our ecological footprint worksheet, focusing in on how different countries consume, so the students are really ready to come back to our original phenomenon and debrief and reflect and explain what they know about why different countries consume different amounts of resources. In 3.5, students really dig into the question, what changes can we see from space? They start with a compelling video of 5 human activities that you can see from space. Scaffolded by the Evidence of Consumption worksheet, they then use Google's Earth Engine website to zoom in on their own community and look at how it has changed over time. They finished using a similar tool from NASA to identify both natural and human-caused changes. They end the day constructing an evidence-based argument to answer the question, does human consumption affect Earth systems? Now they can see the answer to that using their satellite data. Next up, wave properties.